Aesthetically pleasing is an initiative towards the smoothening process of identifying the right steps to set right your career. Good evening, everybody. Tonight's show will let you define the career journey that can actually resonate with your personality. So, what's the catch? Well, interaction, motivation, a rightful direction, networking, a sense of researching. Addressing to all professionals who have queries related to shaping their careers in the product management field, you all are welcome to please come forward to find all the suitable solutions from an experienced professional from product management industry. Good evening, Navendu. Are you able to hear me? So good evening. Welcome to our show. And tonight's topic is on product management. We have a senior professional who has given his expertise in product management industry for almost 10 years. And currently, he's working as a director for an e-commerce platform. I'm really glad and I'm honored to invite him for tonight's show. So welcome Mr. Navendu Sharma for our show, and thank you for taking out time for us.
Thank you so much, Shruti, for inviting me to your show. It's always interesting to talk to fellow product managers and people who aspire to be product managers. So thank you so much. It's been an honor to be part of your show.
Thank you. And to begin the first question for tonight's show. So most of the time I tend to being asked a question from the upcoming professionals who come to me and who take career assessment guidance. And the very basic question that they ask me is, what is product management? And why they want to make career in that. So can you please give a little elaborative answer on this?
Absolutely, Shruti. So I will explain in what product managers do, right? And then I will talk about why you should care about having a career in product management. So if I have to talk in just 2 lines, a product manager identifies, evaluates, and solves a customer problem. So that's in a nutshell what a product manager does. So primarily, product manager is responsible for the entire life cycle of a product, from identifying the idea to evaluating the idea and then implementing and solving the problem statement of a customer through different means.
Okay.
Now here, the interesting part is the definition of a customer. Definition of a customer is broad. Okay. Now let's take an example. If you are working for a food delivery company and you are a product manager there can be multiple customers for you for whom you might be solving different problems. For example, a customer who is ordering food could be your customer. A restaurant who is finally delivering or finally giving the food could be a customer, or the delivery agent could also be your customer. So all these 3 could be the customer based on the problem statement that you're solving them for. So that's a very interesting way to understand who the customer is in this entire journey.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the second set of questions that you had asked, Shruti, is that why should one care, or why should somebody enter in the product management profession?
Yes.
Right? So it's a very standard question, and the fair answer or a very standard answer to this question is a product manager sits at the center. Now, the product manager helps and solves a customer problem, A product manager deals with the sales and the business teams. The product manager works with an engineering team, and the product manager also works with a design team. Right. So, a product manager management career gives you an opportunity to have a 360-degree view of everything: a customer, business, technology, marketing, all of it. Right. So you get to work on different competencies and different skills, and at the end you try to solve a problem for a customer, and hence this particular profession becomes very, very interesting, both from what all variety of problem statements that you solve and all the competencies that you gain and that you need for you to be a successful product manager.
Absolutely. And for that, I should say that a product manager needs to be a go-getter, because every time, he or she will be on the toes to work across the teams and giving the best experience that they are learning day in, day out, to give that productive results, I should say.
Absolutely.
Okay, that's a really interesting definition about the industry. And how can an upcoming professional can make a career in the product management field?
Sure. So, Shruti, I will like to answer this particular question in a way that, what specific competencies, right, or what are some of the skill set that are required for anyone to be part of the product management profession, right?
Okay.
And what are the things that helps you be a successful product manager, right? So the first thing is communication, right? So pretty much product management professions or product managers, this is one of the key competencies and skills. There is a saying that product managers are like salespeople who never get off a sales call. Right? So they're always selling their ideas, always convincing different team members, aligning different teams, understanding customer problems, all of it. So all of it is done through communication. So communication is one of the key skills and competency for a product manager.
Okay.
The second competency and skill set is being data driven and analytical, right? So analytics or data is very, very crucial skill set for a product manager in terms of decoding the data, extracting the information out of it, and finding patterns, right? Because in a lot of cases, the data tells everything that you would want to know about customer behavior, about how your customers are using your product, and so on and so forth. So I would say data understanding or analytical acumen is another thing that you need as a product manager.
Okay.
And I would say customer empathy is the third competency, which is very, very critical for any product manager to be successful, or anyone to be to them to think about product manager as a career, because you need to live the customer pain or understand the customer pain, and only through that you would be able to solve the problems thinking from a customer's point of view. Right? So I think these are some of the competencies or some of the skill set which are important for anyone to be successful in a product management career.
So sort of analytical skills is also required into this industry. You are
Yes.
trying to say that?
Yes.
And communication is always a foremost skill that is required from any professional. So with flying colors, these professionals can think to build their careers. So don't get confused, guys, that analytics is going to take a part of this product management industry. No, it is something that is a skill that you're required, and it does not mean that you need to be an analytics professional. So that is going to be sorted and defined by our senior expertise who is here with us. But moving to the next question is, what upskilling is required, especially for the professionals during and post pandemic times?
Shruti, I think post-pandemic times, when we are working remotely, right? Some of these, I would not say rather upskilling, but some of these, the same competencies become more and more critical, I would say. Okay. Now, what do I mean by that is, when in the post right now, when we are going through pandemic, and all of us are working remotely, not in office, we can't even talk to our customers front face to face, or our teams. uh, the communication becomes more and more important, right? While you were there, or while we were working as in person, a lot of communication gaps can be solved. But while you're working remotely, communication becomes very important. Empathy, not just for your customers, but across all different team members that you're working with, becomes very, very important aspect, right? So I would not say it's upskilling per se, but some of these competencies become much more important while all of us are away and working remotely.
Mm-hmm. So this is a soft skills. What about the hard skills? I mean, you can
So
say
I wouldn't
skills, yeah.
Sure. So, Shruti, I wouldn't say any specific skill set that you would need, let's say in a post-pandemic time, right? Because these skills you still will require, and I don't see as of now, specifically, if pandemic is going to change some of the skill sets, or we might need um, uh, some of other type of skill set, just in the product management area, from an upskilling point of view.
Okay.
So what I'm trying to say, Shruti, is pandemic doesn't change, as a product management professional, the skills that you need. Probably you we need to uh, we need to spend more conscious efforts on some of the existing skills itself.
Uh-huh. Well, that is something which I'm hearing, like, as a first time from an experienced professional who is talking about ping tickling. Like, the situation is more towards being empathetic,
Yes.
cross cultural behavior acceptance, and obviously the professionals are now shifting to their native places because of the pandemic situation. So how
Yeah.
the IoT is going to structure and build the systems upright to get the streaming online smoothly. So this is something which is really interesting, and especially for the product managers, definitely it is going to take a lot of impact post pandemic times. So, what competencies is it required for an upcoming professional? Attitude versus aptitude. So, generally, what happens is, when it comes to the interview session or interview rounds for any upcoming professional, they are addressed and assessed by two categories: attitude and versus aptitude. So, could you please tell us or elaborate, like, what they need to work on when they're coming for the interview?
Sure, Shruti. I think so. We had talked about the competencies which are required, or skill set that is required by a product management professional. But specifically, when we talk about different skill sets that are evaluated in an in a product management or a product manager interview, uh, some of these competencies include problem solving skills, product thinking skills. We talked about analytical skills, design skills in terms of do you understand the design language, right? Or do you understand a good design versus a bad design?
Okay.
uh, you're also evaluated against your business acumen, right? Do you understand business, right? Do you understand different business models, right? uh, Also, you are evaluated for your technical acumen, right? Now, that doesn't mean that you need to know coding, but you need to have a technical acumen to understand how different systems work, how they work with each other, and so on and so forth, right? And the
Mm-hmm.
final and the last but not the least skill that is evaluated is your leadership skills, right? In terms of how well do you work with people, with stakeholders, in terms of executing your tasks, executing your projects. How do you align different people in the face of ambiguity, navigate through that ambiguity, and get through that particular situation. These are specific things that are evaluated. These are specific skills that are evaluated during uh, a typical PM interview, right? And couple of things that one need to keep in mind while they are interviewing for a product management or a product manager role, right? One,
Mm-hmm.
ask as many questions that you want to,
Yeah.
just to understand what the interviewer is asking, right? So if you have a doubt, you don't understand the question well, please ask, okay, so that you are able to understand the problem statement or the question that is asked, and then you can do justice while answering this particular question. That is one critical thing. The
Okay.
second critical thing is always be structured. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
don't be all over the place. Break down the problem statement that is given to you, break down the question that is given to you, right? And solve it in a very, very structured fashion.
Mm-hmm.
The third thing to keep in mind when you are being interviewed for a product manager role is validate your assumptions that you're taking while solving a problem, right? For example, if you are using uh, a short form, let's say you're talking about active customers, right? Always validate with the interviewer that what do you mean by that particular short form, right?
Yeah.
Or you are solving this particular problem taking XYZ as a hypothesis or as an assumption.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, last but not the least, I would say be very authentic when you are being interviewed, not just for a PM role, for any role. Be yourself, right? Don't So be authentic is the another thing that I would like to recommend to product managers when they are being interviewed for a PM role.
Well, I'm really impressed to hear out that ask the questions from the interviewer when you don't understand about any certain thing. And that's what even I have highlighted many at times on my posts, which I roll out on LinkedIn, which gives more confidence to interviewees to talk about their excellence, or they might skip in understanding something which may be deviated, to answer accurately. And when we hear from the horse's mouth, it becomes more quintessential to accept that people will not consider you to be a foolish, but rather giving a wise answer will take you to another chance, or another level of consideration. So I'm
Absolutely.
really impressed, that when I get to hear this from a professional like you, Navendu, so this becomes more authenticate and, kind of experiential advice from the professionals like you. So, what's and how a typical day the product managers like? So, if you start your day, so how do you start your day? Like, it's a personal question, but I really wanted to
Sure.
take this question forward.
Sure. So let's do this, Shruti. Let me talk about let's say my day today.
Yeah.
Okay, and it will give you a good glimpse in terms of a typical day in a PM's life, right? So I started with my day reviewing a product requirement document with my business stakeholder team, right?
Okay.
So for an upcoming feature, I've detailed out the requirements, and I was discussing and aligning this requirement with my business team. That is what I started my day with, right? The second thing in the day, I got on a customer call, and I wanted to validate certain assumptions that I'm taking while we are designing an upcoming feature, right? So that was the second thing that I did today. That I got on a call with a customer, understood their point of view in terms of how we are developing a particular feature. Okay. The third thing that I did today was I was part of the sprint planning with my engineering team. Right, we have a team, sprint team, and we were planning for the upcoming sprint. Right, what all things would we pick up, what all things we wouldn't pick up, and so on and so forth. So that was the third thing that I did today. The fourth thing that I did today was reviewing the product metrics, right? So every product has a success metrics, right? Every product has a way to measure the success of the product and the feature. And this particular item was where we review these key success matrices along with other stakeholders on a weekly basis. So reviewed those success matrices, then ended up analyzing an A/B that we recently conducted, just to understand the impact of a new feature that we have launched on the customers. And finally, I ended my day with planning for the next quarter. Right? So if you look at the mix of things that I've been doing, from reviewing the requirements to talking to the customers, measuring the success of the product, to planning the next cycle, right? It was multiple different objectives that I was trying to accomplish in a day, right? So as I say, it's never a dull moment any day for a PM.
That's really interesting to know about. Well, I should say the session is getting more interesting. So, do you need a specific background to work in the product management industry?
Sure. So, like typically, you don't need a specific background to begin your product management career, right? But as I was talking about, there are some competencies, right? And these competencies are not specific to a particular background or a particular role, but these competencies are very generic in nature, which helps you in your PM career, right? And we discussed some of these competencies previously. Working with people, structured problem solving, customer empathy, and being very, very analytical, right? I think these are the competencies that you would need. I wouldn't say that you need a specific background to be to start your own career. I've seen people from sales starting their career into product management. I have seen people from engineering background starting their career in product management. Operations people also I've seen people from law background, okay, who started their PM career, right? So there's no specific background that you need to start your PM career, but there are some base, or there are some common competencies that you need to start your PM career.
Okay, so do you think that, okay, so I just want to ask one more question. Do you burn the midnight oil to achieve your targets? So I mean to say, do you work really late? I mean, is this job is more demanding to work late hours and get the targets achieved?
I would say it is not just about this particular job, Shruti. Again, there are times, for example, when we are launching a very critical feature, or very critical product, right? Definitely, you need to stretch a bit, and you would want to, because you want your product to be successful. Uh, but the but to answer your question, is it always that you would be doing that particular thing? No, right? So uh, there is, I would say, there is peacetime and there is wartime, right? And this is not specific to product management. This is about any profession, right? Where you need to sometimes work hard and stretch a bit, but that is something that you got to do with any profession uh,
Is
that
demand.
you're working.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm. Okay. And what excites about handling products? So, because we are talking about products, product handling, so
Hmm?
just wanted to know about that as well.
Sure, sure. I think what excites me uh, handling product or working in the product management area, the first and the foremost is opportunity to directly connect with the customers and understand their pain points. Right. I think that really excites me to um, uh, that really excites me. The second thing that excites me is solving complex problems. Right. That excites me a lot. Third thing that excites me is building and shipping these features and products, right? And you see their impact on customers, on business, right? Which really motivates you and which really satisfies you as a product management profession. And the last thing that really excites me being a product manager is working with so many different teams, right? I work with n number of teams, and it is always good to be working with these teams, learning about their domains, solving problems together, right, and making an impact in the life of a customer.
Guys, now Vendu is a perfect professional example because he keeps an ear to the ground to know what the customers want and why they are dissatisfied with the competing products. So, any upcoming professional who is thinking to build the career in product management industry should have this particular trait, and that's how you will also look up to reach to that benchmark what you have created for yourself. So what technical skills do you have that set you apart, and that is what is calling you a true professional in this industry?
Shruti, I would say I wouldn't call these hard skills, but if we need to talk about technical skills, I think the first technical skills, if I have to tell, is first having a technical acumen. Right now, what do I mean by that is ability to understand how different components in the software work, right? Or how do they interact with each other, how different systems interact with each other, and what is the impact of changing something in one system versus another, right? Now it doesn't mean that you need to have a software engineering degree or you need to know coding, but you need to be open in terms of identifying some of these things in a very very logical fashion, right?
Hmm.
I would say that is one particular technical skill that you need to know. You need to know the vocabulary, the nomenclature, and how different systems and different components work with each other. The second thing second technical skill that definitely helps is uh, think when we are building these softwares, right? What do I mean by that is you might be building a software which would work for, let's say, 20, 30, or 50 users very easily, right? But when you scale it, and when, let's say, hundreds of customers use it, how should you think about scaling that particular software, right? I think that is another technical skill set or technical acumen that you would need to think about. And then third thing, which definitely helps as a technical skill, is ability to query different data, pull different data, and do analysis on these different data, and come up with different analysis, different trends, and so on and so forth. Right. So these are, I would say, soft technical skills that helps you in your PM journey.
And that is what it's worth, weight in gold. So interesting. It's really interesting. So, as a product manager, what all different teams would you require to attract with? Like, as you said, that you have to work correspondingly with every team in the early question, but just wanted to know, like, are you working across the teams throughout, like, on everyday basis?
Sure. So, Shruti, uh, you as a product manager, and we were talking about that a product manager sits in the center. Actually, product manager sits in the center. If I tell you the teams that I typically work with, right? I work with the sales team. I work with the engineering team that builds the software or the product. I work with the marketing team who decides and work on the positioning, go-to-market activities of a new feature that we are developing. I work with the design team who creates the entire user experience for the end consumer. I also work with the partner product teams, right? A team which is complementing my product. If it requires some level of pricing, I also work with the finance team, right? Uh, Finalizing the pricing of the product, margins, and so on and so forth. I also sometimes end up working with the legal team, right? Because in certain aspects there are contracts that are involved, so you need to work with the legal team. And last but not the least, you sometimes also have to work with the IT team, right? Which helps you with different different systems, different components, and so on and so forth, right? So pretty much you do end up working with a lot of teams in your organization.
Okay. Well, you have to stick to your guns also, I should say, because on daily basis, because when you're working across the teams, you tend to believe on certain aspects, strategy, on certain, you can say, a gut feeling also that this product will turn up nicer and it will grow profits for the organization if you tend to take certain steps, while the other teams, or you can say your other co-associates, would have different tale to say. So how do you convince them, is what Navendu is also talking about. And that's where empathy and progression to work becomes more important. And that's what co-assisting, working in teamwork is also one of the major skill sets which is required from an upcoming professional. And he is emphasizing this particular, you can say, skill time to time over the chat show. So, how is program management and product management differ from each other? And this question has been asked by multiple upcoming professionals from me. So, you please need to answer this question.
Absolutely, Shruti. So, program manager or program management or project management or project managers, right? Sometimes these two are used interchangeably, right? So the big difference between a project manager and a product manager, right? And we talked about what all a product manager does. Now let me talk about what are the specific things that a project manager does, right? So a project manager is responsible for a couple of things. First, breaking down different initiatives into tasks, executable tasks. A project manager is responsible for planning the entire execution of the project along with the timelines, right? A project manager is also responsible for resource allocation, for a particular project, right? Which he or she is owning and executing. A project manager is also responsible for monitoring the progress of the project, problem solving in case of any blockers, and finally communicating the progress of the project to the wider teams and leadership, right? So project manager is responsible for all of these particular things, while we talked about product manager is responsible for identifying the problem or ideating the problem statement, to executing, delivering, and making sure that it solves the purpose of the end consumer, right? So in that sense, project manager and product managers are different. Now, in certain organizations or in certain industries, program managers are, as a nomenclature, is also used for product managers, right? So but specifically project manager versus managers, these are the differences in terms of expectations, in terms of activities, in terms of output that are expected out of project manager versus product manager.
So it's a thin line, I should say.
I would say the project manager is more responsible with respect to execution, right? While product manager is like it's a cliche, but a product manager is a mini CEO of the product, right? Because for a product, the product manager runs the show.
So you are saying that product manager calls the shots?
Yes. So the buck stops at the product manager.
So the product manager is more authoritative compared to program manager.
Not really, Shruti. If I may, it is easier said than actual reality, because think it in this particular way. All of these teams that product manager works with, none of them directly report into a product manager, right?
Okay.
But still, the product manager needs to get things done, right? Now, how do you get them done? You get them done through people management. You get them through alignment. You get them through evangelizing your vision and your goals that you're trying to solve, right? So it's more influence driven than you have the power driven kind of a thing.
So you can say that they are wearing several hats at the same time.
Absolutely sure.
That's interesting. Well, okay. So coming up to the next question, are video resumes acceptable in your industry?
I would say, Shruti, the video resumes are upcoming, right? I see that them on LinkedIn and some of the other social media, professional media. But again, more or less, I have not come across video resumes so far, right? So probably they are upcoming, but I don't think that they have become mainstream so far.
Okay. No, because honestly, video resumes now these days being marketed and targeted by most of the profile builders, and especially when I look around LinkedIn, and I read new updates on LinkedIn on daily basis, one of the topics that is covered majorly now these days is on video resumes. So I was really curious to know about, how this industry takes upon, or whether it is accepting the new age, you can say, profile building aspect. So that was out of curiosity that I have asked. Okay. So guys, please hit the jackpot where it is right. Don't go with the new trends, but go accordingly what the industry demands. And that's what I really wanted to roll out this session, like tonight's session. So, are the short duration programs offered by prestigious institutes on product management have the same weightage as a regular MBA program? So, what I want to say is there are short 4.5, 6 months duration programs, which they call it as a virtual learning programs these days. They've been offered by IIMs, even XLRI, and other prestigious institutes like MDI. So, is there having the same weightage as a regular MBA program that any upcoming professional is doing?
Uh, I would like to answer this question a bit differently, Shruti. So, uh, do these programs help? Right. I think to answer this question is, do these programs help, and can we compare these programs with, let's say, MBA? Right. So,
Okay.
I would like to answer this in this particular fashion. See, these programs might help in certain aspects which are traditionally, let's say, are not like a hard skills that are taught in different courses and so on and so forth. So they might help. But if you look at MBA and some of the professional degrees, right, those programs give you a much wider horizon, or they give you much wider perspective as a profession, for you to have a much wider understanding of the business, the corporate, the corporate life, and different subjects that are being taught in those particular programs. For example, marketing, right? Or for example, finance. For example, organization behavior.
Yeah.
All of these particular subjects that are taught in MBA somewhere help in your product management journey, right? While the product management specific courses primarily focuses on a certain specific things that you might need in your product management career.
Okay, so because upcoming professionals leave no stone unturned, they want to earn as many certificate learnings, as many, you can say, experiential learnings, now these days. And even LinkedIn learning programs have started small, short duration programs for the specific fields. So, just wanted to know, how this is going to leave impact on any upcoming professional.
I think I would think any knowledge that you gain, right, isn't doesn't go wasted, right? I would say any knowledge in any specific field that you gain helps you only. My only comment there is, these particular programs specifically talk about or specifically focuses on certain specific skill set, right? Uh, whereas if you look at an MBA program, it takes the candidate through breadth as well as depth,
Yeah.
right? And that is not specific to product management.
Okay. So, guys, if you are doing a regular MBA program or probably the working professionals MBA program too, you are learning a lot of aspects, and it is not a disappointment for any other professionals who are opting for short duration courses. So, whatever you are learning, whatever you are experiencing, it's always nail when you see the target is right. Otherwise, obviously, you cannot beat around the bush. So, the last question of tonight's show is, what all upcoming technologies do you think would play an eminent role in the product management industry?
Sure, should be very very uh, apt question at this juncture. So I think one specific upcoming technology, I would say machine learning and AI, right? This specific technology will be very helpful for the current product managers as well as the aspiring product managers, right? Because the use cases that are getting solved through machine learning and AI are very, very varied in nature, right? And these technology has become more or less mainstream because they help solve multiple problems in different areas, right? So you could be part of any industry as a product manager. You would have been, or you would be using machine learning or AI technologies to solve some of your problems at scale. So this is one technology I think would be very beneficial, and it will it has in fact become mainstream in a lot of industries, right? So I think keep an eye on it, learn more about this particular technology, and see where all can it fit into your problem space, right? And with respect to other upcoming technologies, I would say always keep an eye on new technologies that are coming out, because ultimately you would need to know a bit more of these technologies to solve problems in your own area. For example, blockchain is another new technology that people are talking about, right? Learn about it, read about it, and see where all can it fit in terms of your own problem space.
Out of curiosity, I want to understand one thing, Navendu. If ML and AI is going to, I mean, say it will change the industry's outlook, over the period of time, which evidently it has been seen in other industries also. It's taking a major role of transformation. What do you think that it will be a changed hands in the industry? So, for example, if a professional has started its career in product management and over the years gaining expertise has led him to achieve to a certain level, you can say a senior position level. Now, just because ML and AI has shaped a new aged, you can say, existence now in the industry, so obviously the professionals who are having experience for AI and ML is going to have more advantage compared to those professionals who doesn't have any information about it. So don't you think that is going to change hands? I mean, more ML and AI professionals will be considered to work for this particular role?
So, Shruti, I would like to answer this in a bit different context, right? And it is not just about machine learning and AI, right? I think one specific thing that the product managers have to focus on is continuously upskilling themselves,
Okay.
right? Now it is not just about this particular technology, or let's say a new technology that comes down the years, but the important thing is how do we keep on product managers keep on upskilling them. It doesn't matter whether you are in this particular profession for 5 years, 10 years, or 15 years. You continuously need to upskill, upskill continuously, right? So that is what I would like to recommend to any profession in product management, right? That continue to upskill yourself.
So is it like a wild goose chase?
It's not a wild goose chase, but you need to keep an eye on the trends, right? You need to look at what technologies are upcoming and what technologies would solve the problems at scale, right? And accordingly, you need to make sure that you are also being upskilled. Now, this is not just in terms of technologies, Shruti. It could also be with respect to soft skills. For example, right now, we are working in a remote kind of a fashion, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if this becomes mainstream, right? Now, from a soft skill perspective, we also need to upskills ourselves that in a distributed world, in a online world, how do we ensure that we communicate very, very effectively, we lead very, very effectively? So it is not just about technology, but it is also about soft skills. It is about any competency on skills that we see is changing with time.
Okay, quite convincing, but yeah. Well, Navindu had made no bones while experiencing day in and day out interfacing professionals who are applying for position rolled out in project management field. And it is his experience that has evidently proved all of us tonight's show that being a multitasker at the same time, learning all the time, is going to hit the right jackpot. So, I really thank you for your time and explaining basic concepts. Along with that, also how a one could work upon its skills, work upon it on its targets, I should say, because every time when I come across with any upcoming professional's resume, they first want to know that what package they will get once they get into the industry and how fast they can, reach to a senior level position. So, guys, Navendu has actually started from, you can say, from the scratch, and he built his empire to what he has right now. So you have to keep patience, you should be a consistent learner. At the same time, you should always be adaptive to new set of changes that is evolving in the industry. I really thank you, Navendu, for your time. It's been really great learning from you. And it is going to help a lot the upcoming professionals to understand the nuances of this industry. Thank you so much.
Been a pleasure talking to you, and I hope this particular discussion helps other product management or product managers also. Thank you so much, Shruti.
Thank you, sir. Good night.
Good night.
Good evening, Navendu. Are you able to hear me? So, good evening. Welcome to our show. And tonight's topic is on product management. We have a senior professional who has given his expertise in product management industry for almost 10 years. And currently, he's working as a director for an e-commerce platform.